So those are values that both of you share in terms of the building your network outside, listening to coaching, helping others as well as allowing others to help you.
Sure.
Kind of I like to draw like this: you're pulling someone up while someone else is pulling you up.
Yeah.
You educate your own people and you give them pathways to success. They can be successful here and grow and be more healthy here, and then outside when they move on.
Yeah.
What about decision making within the company? Suppose an issue comes up that the answer is not obvious.
It kind of depends on what the thing is. Like if it's pricing or who we should sell to,
right.
It usually defaults to Pat as the trump card.
Okay.
You know, if it's how the technology is going to work, or how the website's getting built, or how the product, or what accounting firm we're using, or anything operational, I usually carry the trump card. And that way we call it that as a joking, but we just say, I trump this, right? Or this is how we're going to do it. But we also brainstorm. We don't just do stuff. If it's an issue that's not obvious, it's usually us, and maybe depending on if it's corporate, like money reasons, it's usually just us two, like finding money, or if there's an issue with, cash flow. But if it's something like who we want to go after from a product standpoint, or we're having issues in operations, there's a couple other guys in the team we bring in, and we kind of go, okay, here's what we think are the 3 solutions. What do you guys think, and where do we think? Where do we have blinders on?
Right.
And that usually helps us get us close enough to find the right answer.
One of the things that I think we've always been really great at is, from the very beginning, is talking about and having the mind frame of developing a great organizational structure, the org chart. And so we were just working on it this morning, the org chart, what it looks like today. It's probably the 50th time we worked on the org chart over the last couple of years. I mean, really start from scratch. How does it look like today? What's changed? And there's modest changes, but we've sort of always had that in mind. It's developing vertical teams.
It sounds like kind of a meritocracy where the role would be the person who has the greatest knowledge has the trump card, gets to make the decision.
Sure. Yeah. Very much so.
And if you're not sure, then you bring in more people to build up your knowledge.
Yeah. Well, internal and external.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Rather than the CEO top guy, he always makes the final decision because I'm the boss.
Yeah. Right.
It's not the way out there.
10 minds are smarter than one. I mean, it's my job to go around and collect and then make the decision. But everyone has an opinion.
Right.
Or Pat and his team. I mean, my thought is, like, someone always has to say this is what we're doing, but everyone should say, voice ideas. So I have 10 ideas, or Pat has 10 ideas to go, okay, yeah, that's the one we should better, focus on.
And sometimes, more often than not, data is smarter than 10 minds. So we do rely on a lot of data from clients.
And that's a shared value too.
Yeah.
We just got better with, now that we have like a support team, and our support team, I have them positioned as analysts, so when they're not working, they're efficient.
Right.
And so it's like the whole team, if they have projects, like we think there's X amount of radio stations we should go after. Okay, let's have the support team spend 2 weeks looking them up, seeing actually what the market size is, seeing who's available before we position the sales team. Just because the sales team thinks it's a good vertical doesn't mean it is. On the flip side, we may find that it's a great vertical. But just learning how to leverage the team to work together before we execute makes us execute better.
Yeah. So how do you data drives a lot of your decisions, naturally. That's good. How do you use data internally for accountability? In terms of, let's take sales, for example.
Yeah, well, so data as far as accountability comes down to, the simplest terms is quotas. So quotas for the sales team, taking the approach of looking at what the average salesperson has done over the last 6 months per month to determine quotas versus what we're doing today, and creating expectations of what new sales reps could come in and do in their first month or second month.
So is it assumed, is it known that if you miss quota a certain number of times?
Yeah, I think like any growing organization, we're starting to define rules for standards like that.
Right.
So there's a lot of grandfathering that goes on with guys that came in the beginning when we didn't have a product and we're trying to create the product together and figure out how to position and sell and price and package it.
Right.
Versus today we have pretty well set standards I think, better standards for the packaging and pricing than most of our competitors in an industry that's only been around for a year and a half for us. And that really helps determine with pretty good accuracy of what the quota should be.
Yeah, but also, you know, it's more a little bit about effort and skill because the market is changing. I mean, if we miss revenue for a month, like we were off 30% last month for some reason, and we looked at it, what are the macro issues? Everyone worked just as hard, we had just as many leads, and we looked at it and realized, okay, pricing in the market has changed. Competitors have dropped the prices a little, and we're getting hung up on a few operational things, like our contract was too long.
Wow, right.
We dropped those things. We literally went from a small loss to a 15% profit. That was nothing other than the sales reps did the same amount of work. And so because they're growing, there's a little leeway from that in the quota. It's not like you're fired if you miss it for 2 months. It's like, what is the real
Have you had to
issue?
let somebody go yet?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, at every team. Yeah, almost at every team we have. You know, there's pretty straightforward performance metrics, and we've always done a really, I think, great job at documenting things and creating reasons why something like that would happen, so it doesn't happen again.
Right.
And you outgrow people, and people outgrow, you know, want to move on. And so, I mean, we've had people who were in a team of 5. If they're only one person doing something, they're fine. But as soon as they get into a team environment, they struggle.
Right.
We work with them for a couple months, and if we said they can't make the grade, we move on. I mean, you have to upgrade your team.
Right.
To upgrade your company.
Really serves everybody's interest, naturally.
Yeah.
What about, how do you handle missed deadlines on projects, say, a software development project?
Oh, we don't have those at all.
Never happens?
No.
It just, I mean, it's more of, we communicate regularly, and we try to have each team, they have a weekly meeting, so support meetings, technology meetings. And we really just share the issues with the team, and we have to prioritize. I mean, when you're bootstrapping a company of 20 people, you just, a lot of times you miss deadlines because you set the wrong deadlines. Not necessarily because you missed them because someone's not working.
Right.
And so part of it is evaluating every week and going, why are we missing these deadlines? Or we used to be off by months, now we're off by weeks, which in product development is not too tough. And now we're getting better at even putting, the key is if you don't have metrics around operational stuff, it's really tough. So even now we're putting in a project management system that tracks every hour of everyone's work for client-wise, not more of a big brother standpoint, where they can go, I worked on this job for this long, and we're getting data around how long every task actually takes versus what people conceptualize. It's common, how long does this take? A few hours. Well, a few hours, but there's 42 hours of work before this, so it actually is not going to get done until day 7 if it's only 3 hours of work.
Right.
And understanding that flow is making us smarter every month.
Gotcha. That's where you're doing custom work for clients.
Custom and just projects. When you get 20 contracts in, it doesn't have to be custom, it just has to be, every setup takes 90 minutes for onboarding, it takes 3 hours to get the system set up, it takes 4 hours to design something. It doesn't have to be custom, it's just more understanding that from contract to launch, there's 14 hours of man hours per project. And if you sign 20 contracts, there's 280 hours of implementation that need to take place across X amount of people.
So given all the metrics you're developing, what would you not tolerate here internally?
Constant tardiness, people who continually create the perception that they're not putting the rest foot forward and jumping in and supporting the team. We've had issues before where I think people just don't jump in. They identify that there's a problem, but they do nothing to fix it. Because there's lots of problems, and we don't have answers to them, most of them. So identifying that, coming up with a solution, presenting the solution, and fixing it. If somebody doesn't want to do that consistently, then they're not a good fit.
Yeah. Comes from negativity, gossip, you know, straight up just clock in, clock out type of mentality. I mean, in a startup, it's like, it can't be like that.
Right.
We don't expect everyone, no one's going to work out 80 hours a week, nor do we expect them besides the management team. But, you know, if something needs to get done, it just gets done.
Right.
And if you can't handle that, then that's not the way, you know, that's not someone we need. And that's just every company, in my opinion.
I got you. Now, so turning to the positive side, because you obviously have a highly motivated team, you haven't lost many people.
Right.
So what do you do to inspire the team? to high levels of performance?
Well, a lot of it, one is, we've implemented 2 things in the last month. I mean, we started working on a personal growth plan for our team, so they feel like they're getting stuff.
Right.
The other thing is, like Ty was talking about the concept of people sharing what they're working on, but we've put in monthly reviews instead of like 6 months, and we focus around a model like an action plan.
Monthly review is good.
Yeah, so it's, you meet every month, and you work with that team member. And we do it in teams of 5, because not everyone, I can't manage 20 people, so I only work with 5 people.
Right.
Pat works with his 5, and then the people underneath him is the concept of once a week. And you sit down with them and you go, you know, where are you at on things? What ideas do you have? And I want to outline between 2 and 4 specific things to accomplish this month that you're excited about. And they're not quote, I mean, for operations and even sales, they're not quotas. It's like things that tangibly help the business. So everyone can say, here's what I did this month. And it's like building a better system, building an instruction vehicle, writing a program for customer support, watching training videos to improve yourself. So that people feel like, you know, people need a paycheck, but once they pay their rent and they pay their life, they need to have purpose. And giving people purpose. And then what we've done too is we felt as we even got past 12 people, communication was breaking down. So not only to be efficient, but every once a week, it's usually Tuesdays, just Thursdays this week for the holidays, we do team lunch together. So we all sit upstairs, everyone brings their lunch, and for 1 hour, each person on the team that runs the team goes around and gives an update, and we talk about what's going on in the business. We just want people to know.